Let's jump right in. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the absolute epic tragedy that is Norse mythology. Specifically, we're looking at a mind-bending paradox, how the gods' desperate attempts to prevent the end of the world were the exact things that caused it. It's a brilliant, tragic, and honestly fascinating cycle that we are going to unpack together today. At the very core of this mythos is a really profound question. Think about it. If you knew your ultimate doom, your exact demise, would you try to stop it, or would you face it head-on? Well, the Norse gods, the Aesir, saw their doom coming from a mile away, but they marched fiercely toward it anyway. It's a gripping story where every single action they take to avoid a prophecy somehow only brings it closer to reality.
Section 1. The Dawn of Creation.
To give us the big picture, long before the mighty gods built their great halls, there was only a void. But from that emptiness, we get an overarching cosmic cycle. It moves from a void into creation, hits a magical golden age, plunges into the brutal freeze of Fimbulwinter, crashes headfirst into the apocalyptic Ragnarok, and eventually arrives at a really surprising rebirth. Keeping this timeline in mind is absolutely crucial because it shows just how beautifully interconnected this entire mythos really is. So our story kicks off in the massive, chaotic void of Ginnungagap, wedged right between a realm of fire and a realm of ice. When the heat melted the surrounding ice, the very first creature emerged, a colossal deity named Ymir. Frustrated by all the emptiness, Odin and his brothers violently slayed Ymir, and they literally used his blood to create the oceans, his flesh for dry land, and his massive bones to build the mountain ranges of our very world. A brutal but completely foundational sacrifice.
Section 2. Gods, Giants, and Magic.
Now, the pantheon wasn't always one big happy family. It was initially divided into two distinct tribes. You had the Aesir, gods of power and war like Odin and Thor, residing in Asgard, and then you had the Vanir, gods of fertility and magic, hailing from Vanaheim. Before they unified, these two actually fought a devastating, massive early war. But realizing that endless conflict would leave them ruling over nothing but ashes, they bravely exchanged hostages. Most notably, Frey, Freya, and Jord moved to Asgard, and that forged a lasting, solid peace.
So how did the gods actually acquire their greatest assets? Well, it actually started with a terrible prank. The trickster god Loki mischievously snuck in and cut the golden hair of Thor's wife, Sif. To save his own skin from a furious Thor, Loki tricked the master dwarf craftsman into forging replacement hair and some other gifts. This high-stakes bet resulted in the creation of the gods' most vital weapons. The most important one, Mjolnir, Thor's indestructible hammer, which would end up protecting Asgard all the way to the very end of days.
But hey, brute strength isn't everything. When Thor and Loki travel to the land of giants, they get challenged by a giant king who uses intense magical illusions. Thor is challenged to drink from a horn, lift a cat, and wrestle an old woman. He completely fails all three. But it's later revealed he was tricked. The horn was actually connected to the ocean. The cat was the giant world serpent, Jormungandr, and the old woman was old age itself. He literally wrestled time and nature. Section 3. Loki's Monstrous Children. Okay, so the shift away from this whimsical golden age really starts when Odin, the all-seeing father of the gods, has a completely terrifying vision. He sees an apocalyptic battle centered around Loki's secret offspring with a giantess. Driven by this dark vision, Odin takes drastic preemptive action. He casts the rapidly growing serpent Jormungandr straight into the ocean and banishes the half-corpse girl Hel to rule over the dead. But here's the tragic irony. Without realizing it, Odin is desperately trying to prevent a prophecy that his very actions are setting in motion. And that brings us to the third child, the giant wolf Fenrir. To bind this rapidly growing beast, Odin commissioned the dwarves to craft a magical, unbreakable ribbon called Gleipnir. The recipe for this thing is wild. It required bizarre, impossible ingredients: the roots of a mountain bear, a woman's beard, fish breath, bird saliva, and the sound of a cat's footsteps. Literally made of things that logically don't exist. But actually binding the wolf cost the brave god Tyr his right hand, cementing Fenrir's absolute hatred for the gods.
Section 4. The Death of Balder.
We have to ask ourselves at this point, how does a god of mere mischief evolve into the literal architect of the apocalypse? Loki was always chaotic, sure, but what pushes him over the edge into pure, unadulterated malevolence? It all begins with nightmares. Balder, who is the most beautiful, kind, and beloved of all the gods, starts having these dark dreams of his own demise. Odin travels down to the realm of the dead, consults an oracle, and uncovers this haunting prophecy. This revelation sets a grim countdown in motion. Desperate to stop it, Baldur's mother, Frigg, extracts an oath from almost everything in existence, weapons, diseases, animals, elements, making them swear they will never, ever harm her beloved son. But she missed one seemingly harmless plant, the mistletoe. In a moment of pure, envious tragedy, Loki exploits this tiny oversight. While the other gods are having a great time throwing heavy weapons at the now invulnerable Baldur just to watch them bounce off, Loki creates a dart made entirely of mistletoe. He hands it to Baldur's blind brother, Hod, and cruelly guides his hand to throw it. The dart strikes true, Baldur falls dead, and the peace and joy of Asgard is completely shattered forever.
As you can imagine, the gods are devastated, and their patience with Loki is permanently broken. They hunt him down and inflict a horrific punishment. He's bound inside a cave using the entrails of his own son, and above him, a snake constantly drips toxic burning venom right onto his face. His loyal wife Sigyn tries to catch the poison in a bowl, but whenever she has to step away to empty it, the venom strikes Loki's skin, making him writhe in agony. But here's the crucial takeaway. This punishment doesn't solve their problems. It merely guarantees that when the end of the world comes, an absolutely furious Loki will be the one leading the charge against them.
Section 5. Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. You don't just wake up one Tuesday to the apocalypse. There are terrifying, unmistakable signs. That rule of 3 returns as Fimbulwinter arrives. 3 brutal, consecutive winters with absolutely no summer in between. It ravages the human realm of Midgard, descending humanity into starvation and violent chaos. Up in the cosmos, the wolves that have been endlessly chasing the sun and moon finally catch them, swallow them, and plunge the universe into darkness. Massive earthquakes literally break the world apart, shattering all those magical bonds and finally freeing both the giant wolf Fenrir and the vengeful Loki.
The cosmic alarm sounds. Heimdall, the ever-watchful guardian of the gods, blows his legendary horn as the skies violently rip open. The armies of chaos are marching. The giant Surtur leads an army of fire giants wielding a flaming sword, while Loki sails in with a ghastly army of the dishonored undead from Helheim. In response, Odin throws open the massive doors of Valhalla. The gods, alongside their bravest fallen human warriors, boldly ride out to an open field. They are fully aware of the prophecies. They know for a fact they are marching to their own deaths, but they go with honor anyway. The prophecies fulfill themselves in a web of fatal, completely unavoidable matchups. Odin fights the great wolf Fenrir and is tragically devoured. Thor finally gets his rematch with the World Serpent. He smashes the beast's head, but manages to take only 9 steps before succumbing to its lethal venom. Loki and Heimdall strike each other down simultaneously, and with the gods fallen, the fire giant Surtur unleashes his flaming sword, burning the entire world and the world tree down to ashes, leaving nothing but fire. And then, total silence. Section 6. Rebirth of the World. But see, in Norse mythology, the end is never truly the end. It's a cycle. Eventually, the destructive waters retreat. The earth sprouts green once more, and a brand new sun rises in the sky to chase away that darkness. And it turns out, the great ash tree Yggdrasil, despite trembling and burning through the apocalypse, had a secret. Deep within its wood, it protected 2 mortal humans, Lith and Lifthrasir. They emerge into this fresh, untouched world, and their love acts as the seed to repopulate the entire human race anew. And humanity isn't alone. A few deities actually survived the inferno. Thor's mighty sons, Magni and Modi, step forward into the light, carrying their father's heavy hammer Mjolnir, ready to protect this new era. Even more beautifully, the beloved Baldur returns from the realm of the dead, joining the survivors in the lush new realm of Idaval. As they sit in the grass, discussing the old traditions and the memories of their fallen fathers, they find the ancient golden game pieces the original gods used to play with, just shining there in the dirt. They are ready to honor the past while building a new future. So, the great board is set once more. The golden pieces are in hand, and a new cycle has officially begun. The surviving gods have sworn to learn from the past, but knowing the stubborn nature of gods and men, will they repeat the tragic, self-fulfilling mistakes of their ancestors? Or will this new world finally break the cycle of destruction? Well, only time will tell. Thanks for exploring the epic tragedy of Norse mythology with me.